Good morning, Dana DiPiazza, Channel 2. Nice to meet you. Speaking with students that are excited to have you on board and are excited to start building that relationship with you, how do you plan going forward to build that relationship and rebuild their trust?
Well, hopefully they'll meet with me on a regular basis. I really enjoy engaging with students, and often when we say the word students, we mean undergrads. I mean undergrads, professional students, and graduate students when I say that. I really would like to make sure in the governing bodies that I have a good relationship with the leaders that they ask to represent them. And then a big part of LSU is the fraternity and sorority life. I want to make sure in my presidency that I have a good relationship with the leaders of those groups as well, because they're quite influential on campus. And so that combination of the elected student representatives as well as Greek life, and any student who wants to reach out to me, I hope to have access and provide some access. Obviously, that's going to be difficult at a meta level. So the elected representatives as well as the larger functioning groups are where I'm going to try to have to hit in terms of making sure I engage. But that's extremely important for me.
Hey, Dr. Tate. So I don't know if you've had time to look at some of the bills that passed in the Louisiana legislature since you've gotten here. But I was wondering if you had any comment on that, especially the ones regarding Title IX reporting, and if you feel they go far enough, and if not, what are some policies you want to implement with LSU to make sure they go as far as they should?
Well, the key on the Title IX reporting is really holding people accountable when they have information, and I'm a 100% advocate of holding people accountable. If they have information about something that's happened, they should be reporting it to the system. Part of the whole process of building trust is that if people know something, they have to report it. And then if they report it, then we have to hold the actual Title IX system accountable for actualizing what it's supposed to do. So I think that what they did was completely appropriate. It shouldn't have taken legislative action for that to happen. I mean, it's just common sense. You have reporting requirements from a federal level. You should be doing that, but the fact that they doubled down on it, to me, is quite powerful and gives me another tool to work with here as president.
Is the accountability clear to staff, faculty, anyone? I mean, is there a sliding kind of, here's what happens, or, I mean, are there vagaries there?
I thought that law was pretty clear, that if you know something and you don't report it, then you're no longer part of the entity. That's as clear accountability as you can get. I think people will know about it. We'll make sure in the prevention messaging that happens with Title IX, we'll make sure that is very clear to people.
Quick follow-up question.
Yes, sir.
So I remember in the last board meeting, they mentioned LSU students' vaccination rates are 26%? Yeah. How do you feel about those vaccination rate numbers, and are there any programs or anything that LSU plans on implementing to potentially get those numbers up?
So we currently have incentive programs, as I understand it, in various forms of fashion. Let's be clear about it. That number is not good. I'm an epidemiologist, so I live in this world. I wish the numbers were higher. We've got to get the numbers higher. So if you don't report anything else today, help me out here. We need the students who are coming back to get vaccinated. And this is a scientific matter. It's a matter of science. And we're an institution that seeks truth. And the science says right now, you're going to be safer if you get vaccinated. So I have to speak as an epidemiologist first. That's who I am. And so my hope is that we will have much higher rates by the fall, and they will continue to grow. Literally, we're bringing a small city back to this geospatial region, and that small city is a vector. And I want to make sure that those folks are actually vaccinated so we can have a safe teaching and learning environment.
Could you expand on what some of those incentive programs you plan to have are?
They're up already. I'm going to let you talk to somebody who's been here more than 2 hours. But I was briefed that there were incentive programs, and actually had some calls prior to coming here on a few others that we might be able to do, which I'll gladly talk about if we get it implemented. But we've got to do it, and I've got to build some more relationships with people and talk to some of the leaders on campus to really get them excited about doing it. I know I've seen it on social media, a lot of different folks talking about why you ought to get vaccinated, but really the rubber's going to hit the road. We've got to get to a certain threshold in order to keep everybody safe.
Thank you.
Obviously, you've seen a hotbed of questions here. Why did you want to take this job? What was it about LSU that brought you here, given everything that has surrounded the university?
Well, first you have to understand, I have a tremendous commitment to the American South. In my own research, when I was in Missouri, which is a border South state, I've been told many times it's not the South, but as a border South state, I studied Missouri very carefully, the northern and southern regions, and the southern regions are contiguous to Arkansas, and I saw a lot of patterns there that looked a lot like the things I had studied in urban environments in the north that were in the southern towns, and it really motivated me to say I would like to spend the rest of my career working in the South to help places that might need support and the kinds of things that we, typically said we were going to invest in big urban cities, but we needed to have that done in a more democratic fashion across states, the rural communities and the like. And that really motivated me. That was partly how I got to South Carolina, because I was really motivated by that. The LSU job is really just a dream come true, but here I am. It is the American South. It's not border South. This is the American South. And it has all the wonderful attributes of the South, the great people, the can-do spirit. But we have some opportunities to help folks. And I think LSU, from my perspective, should be an engine for helping each and every parish be better. And that's my motivating, that's what gets me up, in the morning. That's what gets me excited. It allows me to deal with people like, the press and, politicians and the like, because we can help people if we do this right. And so that's why LSU. And then once I got into the process, I got to meet people and talk to them and hear their passions. And that relationship building happens pretty fast in those searches. And I realized this is a special place with many great opportunities. And so I'm happy to be here and be part of the community and look forward to really adding value parish by parish.
Dr. Tate, I'm Bryce Phelps for LSU Tiger TV. Given all the uncertainties of the past academic year for students and faculty alike, what do you feel will be your biggest contribution to as a new and permanent face for the LSU community?
Well, uncertainties are axiomatic. They are part of life. If there is nothing else that we know, is that everything is uncertain. The thing about leadership is that our job is to help people understand we're listening to them, we care about what's happening to them day to day, and we're going to do the best we can with the resources we have to make sure that each and every day for them is just a little bit better, and that's how we deal with uncertainty. And I think that's the key for us going forward. It's going to be a day-by-day process that we rebuild trust, that we actually demonstrate that we're trying to be better, and we invest in listening carefully, because a lot of times the answers are right there with the people.
You mentioned wanting to have good relationships with LSU's Greek leadership. It's no secret that LSU's fraternities are notorious on a national scale, and nearly every fall there's a near death, if not a death, from hazing at a fraternity. What's your plan to handle that?
Well, first of all, I think we've already got scheduled or on the books meeting with them, me face-to-face, talking to them, and really building a relationship with them about what we expect. Fraternities, if you think about higher education, the two groups that tend to stay most connected to the universities are people who are in Greek life and people who play sports for a university. So let's deal with that reality. They're probably going to be long-term LSU folk. They're going to stay engaged. What I want to emphasize with them is, if that's the case and you're going to be a long-term leader across generations, now is the time to set a great example on what does it mean to do it right. And I think that's the message I want to provide for them. I was in a fraternity in undergrad. I know some of the hijinks. It's dangerous and it's got to stop. We've got to make sure that people are doing things in a way that are consistent with their national policies, and we'll make sure that happens. And those who don't, there's something called accountability.
Which fraternity were you in?
Now, if I tell you that, the others are going to be mad, but I'm just teasing. I was in Alpha Phi Alpha. I am still.
Anything you want to say to students who are looking at you now to kind of pick up these pieces? What do you have to say to them?
Look, what I want to say is can't wait to see you in the fall. Get your vaccination. Come and really realize your dreams here at LSU, because this is a place where you can realize your dreams. The resources are here. The faculty's wonderful. It's a beautiful campus. All you have to do is get here and just actualize your dreams. Work really hard. If I had one thing to say to them, I'd say, especially incoming students, please read a book, because you're going to read a ton of them in the fall. Get ready, you know. Yeah.
That's all I got.
How do you feel about how LSU students so far have implemented their name, image, and likeness to profit, and how those policies have gone so far?
I've only seen a couple Twitter kind of things that suggest who's making money or going to make money. I'm a big believer that, you know, that was probably the right way to go. And we've got to now manage what is going to be an unbelievable set of policy constraints, because anytime you create new policies, there's going to be what's consistent with policy and those things outside the boundaries. So compliance is going to take a whole new, it's going to be different. But I do think it's very exciting that the young people who invest and are disciplined about their sports can now have an opportunity to make some revenue so that they can take care of themselves and hopefully finish their degrees.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate you all.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
It's a real pleasure. Yeah, I got to get used to that Saints hat, man. It's gonna be tough. That Bears thing just keeps running in my like this replay. Hopefully